So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Today on answering Ask HR questions, because I'm band part, I think like 2000. I've been doing this every week for the last 2 years, but we're going to be going over a question about write-ups in Massachusetts, a race as BFOQ from California. Interesting question there. And finally, do companies save old resumes out of California as well? So I'll be answering your ancient are questions fresh from the Ask HR subreddit. The first one says they got a BS write up. What happens if they don't sign? And it's out of Massachusetts. They started a new hourly job about a month ago, got high remarks. About 80% was laid off, including the boss, moved to a new team, started working out of Massachusetts, which this just sounds like a mess. I mean, I would have probably started leaving anyway because this is an absolute disaster from my perspective. But anyway, he on a team meeting, he calls him out for signing out the moment his a shift in. He's not answering emails or messages afterwards. And then finally said that they're going to be written up for insubordination for talking back to the manager. Said that they didn't do anything wrong, but they're not going to work unpaid overtime. This is a little bit, well, I agree with this. If it's truly working overtime, then and they're hourly, then agreed. So he said he was going to be written up. For one, I would speculate that they're probably trying to get rid of you because 80% of your team was laid off, including the boss. It sounds like the company is in bad trouble, and so as a result, I don't think the future looks great. But it says, what happens if I don't sign? Literally nothing. It goes in your file, and that's about it. I mean, a good manager or HR person will write refuse to sign on the line of the write up, but that's it. And then it says, is there anything I can do about a write up like this? No, not really. There's not anything you can particularly do about a write up like this. You're pushing back, and it is clear that you're insubordinate in this scenario. And so ultimately, there's nothing you can really do, but you can refuse to sign. The HR person really won't care or shouldn't, and neither should the manager. The next one is really interesting, but kind of weird. The question is, race is never a bona fide occupational qualification. What about for movies? How can you get a race/ethnic casting in a movie that fits the written script if race can never be a BFOQ? Now, a bona fide occupational qualification is an affirmative defense to discrimination prima facie. Bona fide occupational qualifications can be made for national origin, religion, and sex, but race and color can't be BFOQs. Now, the answer to the question, quite frankly, is you can't. I mean, in theory, but what happens in practice is that they're able to fit the script and few people sue. And it's actually a little interesting. There was a court case in the 11th Circuit called Farrell versus Parker Group that said, quote, a film director casting a movie about African American slaves may not exclude Caucasians from the auditions, but the director may limit certain roles to persons having the physical characteristics of African Americans. So as a result, they actors can be hired by physical characteristics. The law prohibits consideration of race as BFOQ. Racial discrimination in hiring is illegal, even if the hiring is to cast an actor in a race-specific role. So I think that's a very interesting sort of cutting the razor difference that it's made, but it's one that's very important, and it's important for people to understand it. Finally, the next one's out of California, and asked if companies save their own resume. They had a couple brief stints during the COVID pandemic, and they're back in the job market. It's become a hurdle, and many employers seem hesitant to look past short periods. They're thinking about eliminating them from the resume altogether, which I would do that. And then they can explain the gap as being due to the challenges posed by COVID. They suspect that they might have hired them if the short durations weren't on their resume. Would it be acceptable to apply to the same positions using a different email address? I mean, I think that assuming you created a full another account and everything that goes with it, they might not notice you, but that's ultimately the problem, right? Is whether or not they'll recognize you. They likely have your old resumes if they want to go back, but it would require sort of recognition on the recruiter's part to ever get to that point. And I really doubt, especially if they're big organizations, if they'll actually recognize you. So the answer is yeah, they mostly save old resumes. When we talk about old here, maybe 4 years, 5 years, but they're not going to be able to really recognize them as old resumes if you're using different email accounts and everything else, most likely. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Have you tried this tactic? Leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.